I don't think we'll go that long, but let's start the meeting. I'm going to do a roll call. Bill Groves, Commissioner.
George Mathenall, Commissioner.
Craig Miller,
Paul McGuirk, Commissioner. Sorry, Craig.
We're good.
Justin.
Justin Primo, Commissioner.
Okay, having a quorum. Okay, so this has never been done before in my time, but we actually have a second month that we had a request for people to be added to our public communications. The note I got was for Chuck Coursey, who they represent Respler for the Mystic Bluffs. I'm going to maintain the same thing on public comment since it was not an agenda item that maybe we could address in the future. But we're going to limit it, 5 to 10 minutes. I believe Paige mentioned that Jeff and Ray, which I guess are associates of his, also might be on the line. 5-10 minutes, no Q&A, just to let them, speak what they'd like to present to us, and we'll move on from there. So with that, who's up, who's on? I don't know. I can't say.
We do have all three, Chuck, Coursey, Ray, Kehrhahn, and Jeff Respler on the call. So I'm going to allow them to talk.
Very good. So Chuck, if you want to start it, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. Actually, in the use of time, I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Hi, it's Jeff Respler. Do you hear me? I just want to make sure we're okay.
I can hear you. Yep, we can hear you.
Introduce myself, Respler Homes. We're preferred developer for the Mystic Education Center. We have a project there called Mystic River Bluffs. Talk about it in 5 minutes is difficult, so I'll take over 2 minutes. I'm going to put Ray on about economic benefits for a few minutes as well. Our concept and our idea was to create a small village within the town of Groton. The Mystic Education Center, because of the way it's laid out, it's not really laid out to be apartments or anything, but more as some sort of a office complex with retail establishments on the first floor. That's going to be like a Main Street USA. Surrounded by it will be apartments that will feed into the Mystic Education Center, as well as support the offices above. There'll be a symbiotic relationship between all three, and also incorporate into that the Pratt building, which is a recreation center of 40,000 square feet. That will be opened up to the entire town. We're going to rehabilitate it and turn it over to the town of Groton. It will be a benefit for the residents of the community as well as the entire town of Groton. And it's designed to be a development that would be appealing to Gen Zers and millennials. And to talk a little bit about the economic benefits, I'll turn over to Ray.
Okay, hi, this is Ray. So this project, part of the genesis of this project came about as a result of us looking at the town of Groton and looking at the needs that the town of Groton had. And in the course of developing our response to the proposal, we had many conversations with employers in town and other stakeholders in town, including the town of Groton and the Park and Recs Department. One of the primary needs that we saw was having housing that met the demands of the people that EB, Pfizer, Orsted, all the companies that are growing jobs in the southeastern Connecticut, the kinds of employees that they were looking to hire, and developing a housing situation that matched their particular requirements. So the project that's currently conceived is roughly 930 apartment units with 125,000 square feet of commercial space and then the recreation space. The way it's currently conceived, it will retain in Groton. Right now, supposedly the number is about 80% of the employees drive out of town at the end of the day. With this project, we'll see roughly $134 million, somewhere in that neighborhood, of employment dollars stay in the town of Groton to be spent, hopefully, in the town of Groton. There'll be an increase in retail sales in the area of roughly $97 million. And the other thing that will be of benefit to the town as a whole is there will be a significant increase in property tax revenues that flow to the town as a result of this project. On the site itself, with the commercial space, there's roughly about $25 million in payroll associated with the commercial space. So there's a huge lever here with this property. We're taking a derelict property that historically has never provided any tax revenue to the town. We're turning it into a productive use. We're taking a property that the state had declared as a brownfield property. This actually was marketed in cooperation with the town of Groton with the DECD brownfield grant money. So the property is going to get cleaned up, put back into productive use, and be an attractive economic generator for the town of Groton and the greater Mystic area as well. I think I took 2.5 minutes.
We can go longer if you want, but that's the base of this development. It's designed for Gen Zers, millennials. A lot of empty nesters said, why can't we live there as well? And they can, of course, as long as they want that lifestyle. But it's a lifestyle that's going to have a little bit of life. They're going to come after work. There's going to be a bar type of restaurant where Gen Zers and millennials like to come down. I don't know if you've been in Hartford. They come down from the office towers at the end of the day. They want a place to hang out. They'll be able to have it over there. And after that, they'll be able to go back to their units, change, go work out in the gym, do a couple laps in the pool, go down to the water. We're going to also upgrade the boat launch down there, and go out into the water and exercise out there, come back in, shower again, walk down. We're 1.2 miles from downtown Mystic. They could either Uber it over there or, during the spring, summer, fall, I could see them walking, or we're going to have electric bicycles set up throughout this so that they can be able to jump on them and in 4 minutes be in downtown Mystic, or they can enjoy the facilities that are on the premises themselves. There'll be an upscale restaurant where they can have dinner and again, meet and socialize. And it's designed around that concept.
I think the other important point is there's 37 acres along the hillside fronting the river that will be deeded back to the state of Connecticut and preserved in perpetuity for as open space. We will retain an easement to put a walking trail through that property down to the riverfront and to connect to the adjacent properties to the north. There's a town-owned property and a state-owned property that are open space preserved. So on 3 sides of the property, you'll have lots of green space preserved in perpetuity.
Thank you. Thanks, Ray and Jeff, and thanks to the commission for letting us speak. Also, I just note that, of course, this is not the services and the amenities, the activity at the former oral school and the Pratt building. Those are open to the entire community. This is not a closed community. There's walking trails, bike trails that connect with the exterior neighborhoods. So there's a connectivity throughout the entire neighborhood. Again, thanks for letting us come and talk to you tonight. This has been kind of like speed dating, but we appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you tonight.
And reach out to us if you have questions.
Yes.
Chuck is available to answer questions, and myself, we're always available to answer questions and detailed questions.
I thank you all very much. I will be in contact with Paige if there's any, because if any other commissioners do have questions specific, or if there's something we would like to do in the future to the agenda, being that it wasn't on the agenda, that's why we have to adhere to the way, out of fairness to anyone that we bring in for public communications. So I thank you for your time, and we will be looking forward to hearing more in the future. So
thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next item on the agenda, we're going to look at the minutes from April 1st. Hopefully everyone had an opportunity to review them and didn't know if there were any additions, changes, amendments, whatever.
Just a question, what are the 2021-213s and 212s that are sitting in the minutes next to items 3.1 and 4.1?
Minutes of March 4th.
Every item, every agenda item gets assigned a number. Typically, I delete them. I just didn't this month.
Okay. I just hadn't seen them before.
They're numbers that we never knew were there before, and they usually aren't. So I guess it has no relevance except that's how they have to record them. Is that correct,
Fine.
Lauren?
That's correct.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to approve minutes.
So move.
Second, anyone?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Okay, next up, just to keep it going, we did hold a forum on the 12th of April. I'm sorry, my days are getting very melted together now but now PPP seems to be coming to an end for us. But so we did have a forum, we had Sector on, and I'll tell you, they really put a very strong presentation, very well organized. They had all the different areas from their community outreach to the commercial lending aspect and exactly what they do for not only our region, but they've even expanded to the northern quad of the state and such. So I'm very appreciative that they did take the time to put that together. For myself, a sad note, the director, Nancy Kauser, who I've worked with extensively over the years, and she's been a very good supporter and friend of the EDC and various other things. She's taken on a new position at Mitchell College, so she will be leaving Sector within a couple weeks. I did have some communications with her to congratulate her and such, so we will find out, I would assume, in the near future. I know they're immediately doing a search as a replacement for that. But I really think that Sector is one of those key partners we have in this area. And they brought a wealth of information. I was a little taken back that we would still, for participation from commission standpoint, we only had, I believe, only 3. I think Craig and Susan and myself took the time to hear what they had to say after they spent the time putting this together for us. And there were a couple people from the community, but not what we really are kind of hoping for these forums. And I'd like to kind of use this time, because this was my idea and a collaboration and one that I kind of have supported throughout my tenure in this. But I'm open for other ideas also, because right off the top, I kind of continued with that Monday meeting, saying all Mondays because of the restaurateurs and such like that. But maybe Mondays isn't the best night to do forums. Maybe there's an alternative day. Maybe Wednesday works better and such. The other side of it is as commissioners, and I know I made contacts and I know Craig made contacts just because we communicated with it to our business lists. And I also reach out to a lot of other businesses that I come in contact with just through the banking side. And my experience was I got very difficult to get a commitment, but everyone seemed to like the ideas behind it. But we maybe need to come up with a strategy of how do we really drive these people a little bit more. I mean, do we walk them to the website? Because really the key is getting them to sign up. But right up front, the commissioners have to know how to sign up ourselves. So, you know, I want to open that up a little bit to see if we have some better ideas, maybe how to get a little bit more exposure on these to the business communities, because I think they are of value to them. I remember when we had Sector on in one of our meetings, and the one to speak up saying that he never even heard of them was Justin, who's a restaurateur in town. And that's specifically for Sector. So we really need to get a better strategy. And as I said, I'm one person with one set of ideas, and I have all the other commissioners that I'm sure have other ideas, and I think we should really brainstorm on this. So if we don't have anything specific tonight, please field ideas through to Lauren, and we'll do that. But just changing the day was one of mine right up front ideas. Maybe Mondays is the best way of attracting people to get on. The other thing is how commissioners sign in. I think there's a little bit of communication thing, but I signed in as a regular participant. But now I didn't have video, that type of participation. So it just was a little things that we could probably do better. So with that, I'm gonna open it up to you guys and see what you guys think. Any ideas or something that we need to, hey, here's a rudimentary. Do we continue them? Do we see value in them? Just because I think there's value in them, does everyone else feel there's value in them? I don't have those answers. So I leave it to you guys for that. Thoughts, ideas?
I wonder if we need to be looking more at what do people need and then putting together relevant presentations than wanting to have a presentation and then looking for a relevant subject. I mean, for me, with the people that I sent letters out to, I tried to make it relevant by describing why sector might be useful to them. And maybe one or two got back to me to say, gee, that sounds really useful, I'll be on it. But maybe it's the process, rather than making the process of presenting important, making the communication of certain issues important and doing it when we have a really critical issue rather than when it's time to do a presentation.
So
Bill,
reaching out as individual, just so I understand, but I think I do. So we have our list, we have our centers of influence, reach out to them and have them give us what their thoughts are, what's important to them at this point, or what they'd like to see, or?
Well, I mean, when it came out, first of all, it caught me by surprise, and I know sector, but I didn't know that we were doing it. So I wasn't sure where the ideas were coming from. But and if we hear from members of the community what they're looking for as information, great to help them to get access to it. But in this case, I think we were bringing something to them that they didn't know they might need or want.
Yeah, so the sector one in particular, actually, the reason why that moved up is because they had the grant funds, and it was something that was a feedback of businesses were dealing with harsh economic times and what are the resources, and PPP was one of the things that we had discussed, but there's a lot of other ones. I sent over a communication that I'm sure they were aware of, but just that came out was targeted specifically from the SBA to restaurants. It's a program that the restaurants apply right to SBA, and it's really to help out for the revenue losses of 2020. Sector kind of brings a lot of that to the forefront because they deal with the grants and such that businesses aren't aware they're able to access. And that was kind of the reason why we moved them up, because we thought it was going to be relevant to the ones that were hurting economically. So was it any other reason than that?
Yeah, well, that's fine. But then what we put out as promotional material might not have told people that that's what they were going to get by watching sector.
Yeah, and I think this is my opinion. So that's what maybe we can do, is that it's relied upon us when we're talking to people saying, listen, we're having sector, you may not be aware of them. This is what they do. And they're going to speak to maybe some, being able to reach out for some needs you might have in the way of financials and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree. And that's a communication piece. And the key is, I think, still the commissioners having the conversations, because no matter how much printed or web page, if we don't get them to hear it or see it, you're right. It's just kind of like I didn't know anything about it. So that's why it was irrelevant to me. And I think topic is a key thing also. So when we went out there with masks and the fly, to be able to hang up, it was something we knew this is something that they would be responsive to. And it was a very powerful aspect of the commission reaching out to businesses. And that's what we're trying to continue with. So my gut feeling is there wasn't a lot of outreach on it. I mean, there was some, but there wasn't, across the board, a lot of outreach on it. So I don't think that makes the system, the process broke in the way of forums. I think it's just the communication and doing it better. here's a topic, and there again, topics, I can only go by the feedback I've gotten is, and it's something that Sam and I and Paige have talked about and such, but the whole aspect of social media marketing of this generation of really neat stuff that's being done, that the conversations I've had is business saying, oh yeah, I really should do that, yet they're not taking the steps to do it. George, your hand's up.
Well, I'll let Justin go ahead. He's the only one without glasses.
So then I'll go Justin and then George. You're up, Justin.
You're mute.
You're muted.
Unmute. Hold on, I keep getting texts from people. The Monday, I know for the restaurant industry is an ideal day, because if a restaurant is closed, it's going to be on Mondays. So people will have the time. And I think also for retail, that's probably their slowest day of the week. So they will have time. And a lot of the smaller shops are closed on Mondays, flat out. I did not know about Sector until I learned about them through Bill and the EDC. And I attended a couple of webinars for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. And there were people, I unfortunately left my briefcase or else I could drop names, left it at the office yesterday after a very long day. I called them to help me with the paperwork, because for the restaurant revitalization, it's a mountain of paperwork, and it's first come, first serve. And your paperwork has to be perfect or you get sent to the end of the queue. And they talked me through everything.
Justin, who did? Who did?
Sector.
Hmm.
And they're a great resource. Earlier today, I was looking at the Doing Business in Groton pamphlet that Lauren emailed to us. And so many of us, especially when you're new to this neck of the woods, we don't know the resources that are out there. And it's a matter of teaching anyone who's either already in business or is starting a business that there are so many resources. So when I first glanced at that pamphlet, I was like, oh, this is kind of silly. And I was like, no, actually, if I just moved here from Ohio and I wanted to open a restaurant or open a barber shop, but I know no one around here, about nothing in this neighborhood. There's so many resources that people just don't know about. And it's about getting that word out there. And that's the tricky part. It's, I mean, Sector was wonderful to me, but it's also, there's a bit of marketing that needs to be done for all those different resources. And I mean, that is not our problem. We can help them, but we're not in position to run their marketing department. But it's more about getting the word out, because there are a lot of really good resources out there and people who are really willing to help. So I applied, and let's keep our fingers crossed. It happens.
Thanks.
Yeah, but I think Monday is the ideal day for pretty much any type of business.
Well, just to footnote that, this is some of the feedback I got. One of them was one of your friends right in front of you, Christopher's, George.
Yeah,
He says
yeah.
Monday's his day, right? That's the one night he has with his family. So that's why he doesn't, it's his day
Alright.
off. That's what he spends. So when he's in business mode, he's in business mode. That was just honest feedback from him. So
Yep.
'cause I asked
Well,
him why
and
he didn't get off.
Monday's my day off. And I do not do anything work related on Mondays, but a forum like that, it's gonna take what, an hour of my evening? I'm fine with that. But you know, it's an hour.
Right.
And my cats can suck it up.
No? George, you have something to say?
Yeah, so let me tackle you first, Bill. If you're going to go to talk to Christopher's, or if you're going to go to Christopher's, try George's Wings.
Oh.
George was trying my establishment actually, so.
Oh, it's a co-inventor of George's Wings. Please give it a go and tell me what you think. Whether it brings back the hair on your chest.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two.
My staff loves those wings.
Oh, well, they could stand it. They could. Well, phenomenal. I need to up it a little bit more then. So, Justin, you're right. There are lots of resources in the state. And if I may share with the EDC, in the next several weeks, probably by mid-June or so, or late June, the state will be launching another website or a consolidated website with all those kind of information available for businesses that are looking to register, looking to identify incentives, identify location spaces, and all those kind of variety of information. It's just pulling it all together. So the Secretary of State is at this juncture is preparing a website that will fulfill that. However, if you're in a desert, you don't know where the wadi is, where the oasis is, where the water is, and you don't know where to go.
Mhm.
So that website where it is where it is. And if none of us or none of those newcomers know it exists, we will never go there. So that's a dilemma in marketing. But in this day and age, we do a lot of work through the internet, and maybe this is a good forum, if the chairman would allow. I would like to share an effort that has been going on since last April to try and remedy some of the issues with that the municipalities has, all 169 of ours, plus as well as the state. If I may have about 5 or 10 minutes of it, if the chairman would agree.
And I'm sorry, this is a state thing? Is there anything that you haven't, that the state has for us? Or, because I would assume the town's already been made aware, or no?
So two parts. One part of the Secretary of State is that's happening, but on a separate level, I have something else that I want to share with you. And being a Groton EDC member, this is an initiative that is coming from me, and I want to share it with you because it has an impact to the state in all 169 municipalities.
If you can keep it to 5 minutes, George, go right ahead.
All right. I say this purely because next Friday we have both Paige and John Reiner, as well as the City of New London, we have a meeting scheduled for. So what we're trying to do to accommodate this marketing issues and the end of the day, communication issues, I have reached out to Google, and we are looking to establish a business directory, an active directory of all Connecticut commercial enterprises it'll be a AI-based, artificial intelligence-based repository where it will collate all companies in the internet that has a Connecticut zip code and curate it into all 169 municipalities. It will be obviously a dynamic website, a dynamic database. And the aim and the objective of it would be to help municipalities and Office of Planning and Development to use it as a utility to identify resources that they may need, procurements that they need, or even to help mutually within this township of what resources are available within a certain township, as well as for the state to look in and domestically to look in. In a simple thing, it's an address book. We all have to survive with an address book. We have an address book on the email system. We have an address book on our phone. None of us can survive without an email and address book. That will never pass. We do not have one in the state. It does not exist in the municipalities. It does not exist on a governmental level. And it's horrendous and useless to do it manually. By the time you procure and identify every business in a township, it's already too late. It's out of date. Because if the business moves out of town, there is no mechanism for the Secretary of State to, or even the town clerk to know if you left the town. So we're creating this database, which would probably, in a bigger sense, be more valuable for each township as a tool or utility for marketing purposes, for communication purposes, because it will identify which companies on a snapshot, let's say on the 6th of May, which companies exist in Groton, where are they? And I want to send a mailer out to them on PPP or whatever various benefits that's happening and so much more. So this is something that we are now embarking on. Again, this is a national pilot, a Google national pilot that we are now currently in discussion to try and establish for the state of Connecticut.
And if it includes all the email lists, that would be a great thing, because that's been one of the things that we've been really trying to do is collect emails and such. And I know that, you know, I was looking at the numbers that page provided, and we did have an increase of website sessions increases up 50%. That's great. But we really have fallen flat on collecting that. That's how this all was. Give a card, all the different things we've done over the years. And at the end of the day, I don't think we're doing a great job of collecting that information. And we don't have that outreach.
You're not the only one, all 169. None, no, zero, nada have that capability.
Well,
and again, this is technology.
There are 168 out there that have their own problems. I'm only concerned with number 169, and that's ours. So, and I appreciate that. So anything that they can provide is perfect. But going back to it, I appreciate the insight that you're giving us there. But going back to the forum, I think we have to, we've simplified it as much as possible. It's really a matter of getting in front of businesses and having conversations, developing the relationships, and to Craig's point on top is getting feedback. You know what, if you did it, I go back to that, which I've talked to Sam, and I really want to do that forum, because I think that online marketing and such like that, a lot of the small businesses just aren't that. And we have a resource to be able to help with that. But if no one else is interested, who cares? So that's why we really have to get in front of the businesses that we've basically committed to do. We've said we're going to do. And my gut feeling is it's not all getting done. So any ideas, as I said, going forward, I don't want to continue on and just theoretically stuff, but please send your feedback, whatever it is, send it through Lauren. we'll compile something and because I think the forums are a good venue for us. It's just, we got to get better communicating with it. Okay. No new business that we had on. In fact, the forum recap was going to be part of the new business of what I just went over, but I figured I'd just put it into old business tying with sector. For my report, though, I did want to touch base on it, and we already spoke it earlier. Everyone should get on to the Blue Tech portion, the page that Sam sent out. It is a phenomenal, unique for our community. I shared with them when I first saw it, and right away I set it out up the ladder to the bank because I think it does differentiate us of something different. I have friends on the West Coast that are big in venture capital, and it's that whole scenario that Silicon Valley started in a garage, 30, 40 years ago, and look where it is today. And Blue Tech is kind of that type of thought process, tapping into what is the most abundant and unexplored and underutilized are our oceans. And there are a lot of people that are doing that. And we have the Brain Trust here. We have the Avery Point and other think tanks that are coming in, and that's a huge driver for a market like ours. Going back to, we don't want to be so dependent on EB that when the last sub rolls off the line, we're back to where we were in the 70s and 80s. So I would encourage everyone to go through it, understand it. If you have questions, Sam will help you to understand it better. But that's a great thing to talk to people about, because that's in their backyard and they probably don't even have any idea that it's there, also. So if you need something to talk to, if you're just, stopping by to a business and such. Also public communication, and to say that, well, we've had 2 months in a row, we've had public communication. We encourage it. We really like to hear feedback, and it's a great venue for anyone, for any reason, that wants to address the EDC. We are the liaison. We're the ones that give feedback to the commission, to the council, to the town manager, to whatever. I mean, that's what part of our charge is. So I don't discourage it. I just encourage everyone to speak. I did have Lauren include to you guys as a sub, which I think came with the reference that Justin was talking about the business. But Roseanne Katowski did speak to us last month. I thought she did a very good presentation. She was very well prepared and she had everything. She then sent me a follow-up where she had a list of questions that she wanted answers to. And everyone could have seen my response here. And I responded the way I did because I really don't think the EDC should be brought into an aspect of for and against, and that we are there to communicate. We are there to take in information. I was not going to speak for the rest of the commissioners because we've all been at different presentations. So I just wanted her to understand the EDC and what our charge is. So I took that right from the town touch. But I was pleased to have her come speak to us because that's what communication is all about. So there's nothing in there that I find that I just didn't think it was right for me to speak on the behalf of the commission and get drawn into something that was definitely someone's for, someone's against. There's always going to be for and against. We give out the information, we take in information from all sides and follow the charge that we're giving. And really that's to be a supporter for economic development into the town of Groton, where it makes sense and fits everything else. So if anyone had any questions about my response or thought I should have handled it differently, I'm happy to take that communication. But that's just the way I felt that it was best for myself as chairman representing you guys. But don't hesitate to reach out to her if you want to answer her questions. That's entirely up to you. So with that, I'm going to go and pass it over to Paige and do the staff report.
Bill, was well written and well said. That's all. I just wanted to comment on that.
Thanks, Tom.
Bill, I have something to add on. I had my hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes I just think you're flipping me off, George. So it is a hand.
They haven't done that yet. You need an emoji for that one.
That's Zoom 0.20.
We need a point. So I commend you for saying that. Blue Tech is indeed It's not, it does not exist anywhere else in the state of, in this country. And this hub here, we here in Connecticut are in the forefront of that. We are potentially the Silicon Valley of blue tech in the years forward. And we do not have, again, a competitor to that opportunity, obviously, unless we fail to fully grasp it and deliver that whole perspective. I would equate this to where NASA was with the space technology and how that evolved into the Silicon Valley. And in a similar fashion, we have 30 years of submarine development, not 5 or 10 or 15. We got 30 years of submarine manufacturing and production, which is a significant portion, if not more than what NASA had to send the man to the moon. So we will potentially become the Silicon Valley of blue tech or undersea technology. It's the nature of how we, perhaps to a larger degree, here in Groton and New London, try and grapple it with full heart and full arms to make it happen. It will not happen in Waterford, it will not happen in Noank, or it will not happen in Norwich. It's up to Norwich, it's not true. It's up to us here in Groton and New London to speed that kind of process up, to make that, to become a reality. So I just wanted to share that and wanted to make sure you, all of us here, understand the ball is in our court alone, not anywhere out of this realm. EB is here. Concert Point is already starting some aspect of it in Rhode Island. And with the merger of what we are doing over here, this is the triangle of the Silicon Valley of undersea technology and blue tech. I didn't like the choice of blue tech, but some academic chose the word blue tech, and now we are stuck with it. So that's number one. Number two, in terms of what you were saying, well, maybe it's too long for me to carry on preaching over here, but let's, I'll let you go on with it. I'll rescind my time.
Thank you, George. And then I'll just follow up one more time. Please read the webpage, go through that Sam put out there. It'll give you more information. It'll give you a good understanding for someone like myself who's not really tech, but I really encourage it. It's a great conversation to have with others. So with that, Paige.
All right, great segue to cover the monthly report. I'll actually just move down the page and talk about the Blue Tech webpage. I want to specifically give a thank you to Sam on that. Sam, that really was his effort, and he definitely did not disappoint. Blue Tech is our economy, and I agree with everything that has been said. I know it's caught the attention of the state. It's also a large focus of the Thames River Innovation Place. There are desires to grow Avery Point and beyond. So I think we're finally convincing people that our economy is not solely reliant on submarine production. That's great, but we also have a lot of other blue tech businesses, whether it would be undersea robotics or wind energy, aquaculture, of course, oceanography. So the list goes on, and we need to build on that as a whole moving forward. I think that the launch of the webpage is quite helpful. Golden Shovel, who hosts our Explore More Groton website, also participated in that, and I'm sure there's more to come. Another item I'd like to touch on is not in the monthly report. It was mentioned earlier, the Doing Business in Groton Guide. EDC has received that. It has taken us a while to get that released. We were delayed for a number of months, but it is true that the document provides value. Maybe someone who's astute to local resources and what it takes to start a business, it makes sense. But we have this ongoing joke about all I want to do is make tacos. There was a guy who came in a long time ago, didn't have a business plan, but he knows he can make tacos. And no, Justin, we're not talking about you. There is some missing information for many small businesses, particularly startups. And our goal was to try to provide that business guide to them so they would understand the resources available, the steps that are required to get a business going. So hopefully we can disseminate that, and hopefully that's of value to people moving forward. Back to the monthly report, obviously COVID-19 is still an ongoing matter for us, but we're really excited. We think that there's some light at the end of the tunnel. We've had some relaxed restrictions here in the state effective May 1st, with some businesses that can stay open longer. Occupancy limits have been reduced. May 19th is a big date in the state of Connecticut, where the majority of those restrictions will be removed, with the exception of face masks. But that is a big, big date. And I think the reality of it is one thing, but the perception and sending the message that we're open for business, I think, is really huge. I will add that Groton will be receiving American Rescue Plan funding. We're not exactly sure how much, but it will be fairly significant. Our department, in working with the town manager, will be charged with how we're going to manage and release that funding. There will be an application process, and I think it's really important so that people don't assume there'll be handouts. There'll basically be projects that we will entertain and evaluate these submittals, and ultimately try to provide the best bang for the buck for that future money that's coming to Groton. The IEDC Economic Development Week is next week, and I think you find in your packet a proclamation that the mayor actually endorsed on Tuesday evening. And we're really pleased that we're getting that recognition. Strangely, people are still being educated on what is economic development. And they might think it's one thing, but it's important for us to continue to bang that drum, to educate people. Lauren and Sam have been working on this, and during next week, when we're celebrating that the National Economic Development Week, there will be key videos that are provided through our Facebook page, such as overview of what is economic development, the importance of small business, quality of life and workforce attraction and retention, business support and growth, blue tech and diversifying industry sectors. You'll see those on our Facebook. We are asking you, please, I'm begging you, please not only like those, please share those on your Facebook, share them, because that is the way we maximize distribution. It is a part of business outreach. And Sam, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, thanks, Paige. And yeah, I definitely want to follow up on that. So you might be aware, we use LinkedIn as part of our social media. The blue tech that Paige referenced has the link to our most recent article. Those are very technical. They, it's definitely for general public consumption, but they're going to be something that your potential investors are going to be looking, are going to be interested in, or people who want to know more about the industry specifically. But in contrast, Facebook is where we're trying to do things that are more fun, more to engage the local community. And so this is why we encourage you to pay attention next week. Go to our Facebook page. Every time you see a post that Lauren puts out next week, go ahead and make a comment. That helps with the algorithms. Just say, awesome. Just, any little thing helps. give it a like. But what I want you to know is these are going to be fun and interesting, very community oriented posts that are designed to be of interest to the general public. So when you share it with your network, it's going to be something I think they're going to find interesting. But the last thing I'll say is every time it makes all the difference when we can count on you guys to like and comment and share with your network every one of them just for the next 5 days, Monday through Friday of next week. And what we found is those consistent posts that when Lauren puts together a campaign, we can start getting momentum and getting out in front of people and actually engaging, getting comments back from and feedback back from the community members, and all that is really, really helpful, and that helps us achieve our objectives. Thanks, Paige.
Thank you, Sam. I think that wraps up that point, but we appreciate and look forward to your help next week. Should be relatively easy to continue to support and disseminate this information using social media. Wayfinding sign program, we've been talking about this for a long time. We are just about to bid that out, and we are hopeful to launch that first phase this summer. Neighborhood Assistance Act, Council had the hearing the other night on a number of submittals, which are included in the monthly report. Just in summary, real quick, that's a state tax funded program that when businesses, particularly corporations, donate funding for specific projects such as energy efficiency projects, they get direct credits. So for energy efficiency, they get 100% tax credit on that. So we always have a few, and the council had the hearing. We'll be forwarding those back to the state by July 1st. In terms of the individual public property redevelopment, the Mystic Education Center, Mystic River Bluffs project, obviously that's ongoing. You had heard from the Respler team earlier this evening. Clearly, there is some neighborhood opposition, and there have been a number of stories that have come out over the past few weeks. And what I can say is that the town has encouraged Respler to continue and increase their public outreach, which they're doing, and that's going to be important. They've gone directly to the day to explain how they envision moving forward. They've talked about challenges in addressing the project, and also the Respler image as well. I am aware it's not in the monthly report, but just this afternoon, they were at Groton TV. There was an interview, and I do believe that will be shared quite soon. So I think they're doing a number of things to get out front on this, and to make sure that their face is known with the individual project. As a reminder, probably one large big takeaway, this is state-owned property. Very different than the other properties that we often discuss that the town is marketing and redeveloping, where those are town-owned. With the town-owned property, there's a direct relationship between the developer and the town in terms of a real estate transaction. In the case of Mystic River Homes, that two-party agreement is between the state and the developer. And clearly the town is a partner in this, but the actual sale of the property is between the state and the town. We're talking about 80 plus acres of land. And there was the reference earlier about basically preserving about half of that for open space. So it's a large portion of property. So as you're hearing from people in the community and the neighbors, it is really uncommon to be dealing with an 80-acre piece of property. That's certainly worthy of a different type of project than something that's small scale. So I think that's about all I would say on that. Groton Heights, we hope to be before the council this summer. We're working on the option agreement right now with Kehrhahn. 529 Gold Star Highway, final legal agreements have been signed on that. That does involve a multi-family development with Lennar. Sealy School, I'm not sure if people have driven by, the building's down. So Donmar has demolished the former Sealy School for making way for the Triton Square project. They do plan on construction over the next few months. The Colonel Ledyard School, which is in the city, the town recently signed an application so that the developer can go before the city's Planning and Zoning Commission and seek the appropriate zoning amendment for that parcel of land for the small multifamily project. And then lastly, Pleasant Valley School, we are coordinating with the RTM right now regarding the disposition process. That's an actual vote separate and apart from what the final development will be, but simply to dispose of town property, the RTM has to weigh in on that. Basically, do you want to sell it or not? And then shortly thereafter, staff will go before the council and start talking about what the committee has found and the committee's recommended developer. The last point I'd make, I have, particularly in COVID, attached the unemployment data. I do look at that monthly. It's always a month behind. I would say it was trending well for a while, but for the past 90 days, it's been kind of flatlined. It's been kind of stuck. But again, May 19th is coming. Warmer weather is coming. The summer is coming. I do believe that trending forward, we will see that number, that unemployment rate decline moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah, just a footnote on an unemployment number. I know some of the businesses I've talked to is they have jobs available. They just can't find people that want to partake in employment because of the way the benefits have been. And sometimes they weigh it out of what they're currently making on unemployment as opposed to what they can make working. So I don't necessarily, those numbers I don't think are capturing that. And it's a tell-all, but I know a lot of restaurants and I know a lot of other businesses that just cannot find people to take jobs. And that's another challenge that we have there. So that's why I think our full employment is probably a little better than we think it is, but those numbers are reported the way they are. So I think we're trending in the right direction. So one thing I just want to add with which Paige said, and you know what, I'm guilty as charged, but I just said, hey, you know what, I didn't do that myself. Go into Facebook, you do the search, Groton Economic Development, join the group. It's on your phone. You're talking to somebody. You can just pull your phone out saying, this has all the information that they really need to. We want them to get to the webpage, but this really gives them updates on everything that's going on and what we're doing. So at the end of the day, when we host a forum, it'll pop up. It gives them a notification on their phones. And I look at mine all the time, not necessarily Facebook, but if I see a notification, I'll look at it at least. So I would encourage everyone to put that on their phones also, just something to show somebody, and they can do it right when you're there because everyone always has their phone on them. So thank you, Paige. Sam, anything else to add or to?
No, that's everything as well. Thanks.
Very good. Okay, I do not see any liaisons on our call this month. So that being said, I have no other business unless someone else has something they'd like to bring up. Paige, you had a pursing lips like you had something to say.
Yeah, I was just looking at Craig's hand.
Oh, there you are, Craig. Sorry.
Two things. The first one is with respect to the Respler project. We've had two different ways of saying that we're not on the hook for it. One was your letter to the guest last month saying essentially, here's the role of the EDC and we don't do this and we do that and so on. And then listening to Paige, we, the EDC, and then listening to Paige emphasize that it's unusual because it's the state selling the property, not the town selling the property. But aren't we going to be on the hook when it comes to TIF financing because we are the TIF agency for the town?
I can answer that. the simple answer is we will be a partner to the TIF agreement, yes. As a reminder, we are not advancing any public funding. We are not using our bonding authority for public funding. That is entirely reliant upon the developer. We would enter into a future agreement with any TIF funding. And I know there have been some allegations. How come we haven't provided this TIF doc? We don't have a TIF document. It doesn't exist. To that note, I do believe part of the confusion townwide, even beyond this particular project, this is an unprecedented time in Groton where we have all of these public properties that we have successfully attracted quality developers, and we're moving through a process. That is very different, I think, than what most people have experienced in the past, where they might receive some notification that an application has been submitted, and you're hereby being notified as an abutter to appear before a board and make comments on a detailed plan. That's the only time anyone's ever received notice in the past. So here we are today, we have all of these projects where people are being notified there's a concept, there's something happening, and then they automatically want to know the details. There has yet to be a submittal. We don't have plans. We have no TIF documents. We don't even have the zoning in place yet. So I think that has compounded the situation because they believe there are details somewhere that are not being disclosed. I added more to your answer than you probably wanted, but I think that's a part of it. My answer is yes, we will be a part of the TIF, but we're not there yet.
Okay. And my second question is, I really appreciate that we're coming out from under the COVID issues, and I appreciate some of the new freedoms that are coming. At the same time, talking to people who are working in restaurants, and Justin, you can tell me whether this is the case for any of your staff. Some of them are looking for what do they use to help protect the health of themselves and others once they no longer can say, gee, the governor says that you have to wear a mask, or whatever the various changes are. That is making ourselves such an attractive place to come to, and certainly downtown Mystic has become that already, is attracting a lot of people who may or may not be willing to be as safe with others as the community is. And they're coming because the community is seen as safe. So do we have any responsibility or obligation to help those who are in the hospitality industry or businesses to figure out what to say, how to handle the public or any issues that are coming as more and more people pile in?
Craig, I can say that my staff, I had a conversation with them last week about going 100% capacity on the 19th. And they were apprehensive about that. And it's more of, they want to be safe, but we've been flooded lately with people getting vaccines, so everyone's out. And now we just put up the tent, and we're still doing a massive amount of takeout. They feel like they won't be able to keep up if we go to 100%. But when this all started, when we were allowed to have dine-in, indoor dining, my staff was still, they were worried about that. The Hispanic community takes it very seriously because they see what's happening in their home countries. And basically, if you go to any restaurant and there's not a Hispanic person in the kitchen, then you're probably at an Asian restaurant. And I want them to be comfortable and feel like they're coming to a safe place to work. So I probably won't go 100% capacity. I mean, it's less money in my pocket, but I love my staff and I want them to feel secure.
I'm hearing a bit of that from others. And so the reason why I'm raising the issue is, Bill, you started the meeting by saying what subjects are there that are relevant to the community that people are talking about. This is one that people are talking about in a lot of businesses that we have in the community. And I don't know if there's a forum that allows businesses to be able to say upfront, just as Justin did, that, you know, we may be allowed to do that, but we're not going to quite do that. Here's what we're doing. And helping people to think that through or talk it through so they feel okay about making adjustments if they want to, because they're hearing one thing from their staff and they're hearing something else from the press.
And you know what? And I'd be happy to develop a forum based on that. I mean, as I said, I'm not the keeper of ideas here, so that's a thing. The only point I would make on that, there's a little bit of difference when I have a business owner like Justin making that decision as a business owner, as opposed to the state telling Justin the decision he's going to make. So I think everyone's free to make these decisions. And I agree, you know, you have some people that don't feel safe. I guess my first response would be get vaccinated. I mean, that's the clear message I hear across the board, but maybe not everyone can. That's the only way I know how to protect at this point in time. And I feel comfortable with it. But I think it's just nice in the direction we're moving that someone like a Justin or any other can make that decision for himself, for his staff to say, you know what, we're going to remain at 60% or 50% because this is where we're comfortable, and turn over business. Also leads to more opportunities for other business people to come in and say, I can capture some business here. You know, I'm saying so. But I'm happy. I mean, we put a forum together, just get the ideas and the right people to speak to that forum. If that's what people are looking for, that's all the forum should be about. It should really be a venue where if it's something of interest that people want to discuss as a group, that's what it should be all about. So,
hey, I do not, Bill, sorry, I'm not trying to butt in. I just want to say 90% of my staff will be vaccinated by the 19th. Others will be waiting for their second shot. They will be coming right after. On Facebook, I belong to the Groton Community Forum, which gets a little ridiculous. It gets politically heated, especially with the whole mayoral race in Groton City. But if we give Lauren yet another job and do a Groton Business Forum on Facebook, where business owners, like something came up about restaurants in the community forum. Oh, how Mohegan is offering a $2,000 signing bonus for anyone in culinary. And people had a lot of opinions. I was like, listen, I'm in the restaurant business. I will tell you, it is so hard to find help right now. And if they have the cash to throw $2,000 at someone to hire them, God bless them. But if we do that as a business forum for business owners in Groton.
So Justin, doesn't the current Groton EDC Facebook website, or could that website deliver that forum? Do you need another one?
I would start a separate page.
So that's something you absolutely can do, and anyone can set up a page on Facebook and get your group. What the EDC's, our portion of it is we're happy to host the forum and put that together if you bring together the people that you want to speak to it. So we just have to have a concise, this is who's speaking, this is what it's about. And then we can be the sponsors of it on a forum. And that's the whole purpose of it, is to provide something that's of use to the business community. And if that's one of them, perfect. So I would then charge Justin, Craig, run it by, we can do it as a group. I'm just saying, I don't, but we kind of have to, you have to make it something more concise, who the speakers, times and such like that. So
I was trying to hand it off to Lauren.
yeah, I know you were, Justin. I can't do that to Lauren, and Lauren's got enough on her plate.
I know she does.
And this is really more from the standpoint of is to bring the outside people in. So very good. Any other business?
Well, if there's no other business, I just remember it's Cinco de Mayo yesterday. I was thinking of popping into Justin's place later this evening.
Don't.
Oh, okay.
Don't come on Cinco.
Well,
Today.
Today.
It was yesterday.
Yeah.
It's coming today.
Oh no, we're closed on the 6th of May every year.
Oh,
So my staff can take a break.
all right. So I won't come with Paige then.
You're a good man, Justin. You take care of your crew.
Yeah.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Second, third, aye.
Thank you, guys. Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks.
Hi, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.